Hello, I'm Dr. Gordon Pedersen, and I'd like to talk to you about the future of antibiotics. We know they have problems. We know they've saved many lives. But the future of antibiotics includes silver. When I get done, I hope you'll recognize that your life will be safer with silver and that antibiotics will be much safer because of silver. With this in mind, I'd like to talk to you right from the start about antibiotics being lifesavers. Antibiotics have saved countless lives. They have problems. When the antibiotics were first introduced in about the 1940s, they were hailed as the greatest lifesavers of all time. In the 1900s, the three leading causes of death were pneumonia, tuberculosis, and diarrhea, which were all saved by antibiotics. So people had the expression that antibiotics were lifesavers, and they were. Now we've used them and overused them and misused them to a point where we have some problems. In fact, bacteria are becoming resistant to these wonder drugs. Bacteria is important because a number of factors influence the rate at which bacterial growth occurs, the most important of which are moisture and temperature. In other words, if you have a warm, moist part of your body, like your armpit, you're going to grow bacteria quickly. In addition, sunlight destroys bacteria. The resonant frequency of sunlight kills bacteria. In addition, oxygen and pH have the ability to destroy bacteria. These are the key components of what I'm going to talk about. All of the bacteria in your body, all of it, weighs a total of 4 pounds. I know most of you wanted to know that, and here you have it. If I took all the bacteria out of your body, it weighs 4 pounds. Sweat itself is odorless, but sometimes we think it's got bacteria in it. Well, here's why. It's the bacteria on the surface of your skin that combines with sweat to produce body odor. Now, to get your attention, and this does work, you've got to realize that there are more bacteria in your mouth than there are people in the world. Think about what you're harvesting, what you're harnessing, what you're growing in your mouth, and why does it smell? There's more bacteria in your mouth than people in the world. Here's another one. Mobile phones have 18 times more bacteria than a toilet handle. Holy cow, I'm starting to hold my phone farther away from me. Now, when two people kiss, they exchange between 10 million and 1 billion bacteria. Now, don't stop kissing yet. We have a solution. We have a very good solution, and it's called silver. Silver destroys bacteria, viruses, and yeast. And it actually now has been proven to work with your antibiotics in the event there's a crisis. Let's take a look about the sciences that are validating this particular product. Here's some of the science journals that have published in the last couple of years benefits of silver. Number one, the most credible medical journal in the world, JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association. Number two, the New England Journal of Medicine. Number three, the Physician's Desk reference that has listed in it 42 drugs that are approved that contain silver. From burns to infections of all different types, you have already approved medicines that contain silver. Look at some of the rest of these. The Bulletin of the World Health Organization. Look at Nature. Look at the International Journal of Nanomedicine. How about the Journal of Virology? All of these specifically focusing on a benefit or use of silver. This is a publication that I made available to the Indian Practitioner Medical Journal in November of 2010. This is the titled article for silver and malaria. Yes, I went to Africa, and after studying this on people, here's the quote. Silver liquid taken 2 teaspoons, swallowed twice a day, completely cured malaria in an average of 5 days. That means the children that were dying aren't dying anymore because they have silver. 2 teaspoons twice a day, and in 5 days they're back in school. This is very important because look at some of the problems we have with antibiotics. Antibiotic facts include virtually all current antibiotics act only on replicating and active bacteria. In other words, if you take an antibiotic, which comes from a bacteria, it can't kill the bacteria in your body unless the bacteria is fully active. If it's just sitting there, it's very difficult to penetrate the membrane and destroy it. Antibiotics cannot distinguish between good and bad bacteria, so it renders a person susceptible to viral, yeast, and other bacterial infections. What that means is you've got an antibiotic that will kill all the bacteria, even the good bacteria in your gut. Silver doesn't destroy the gut bacteria. And that's simple. It's because silver is water soluble and cannot penetrate the probiotic bacteria that has a milk fat, milky membrane around it. Bacteria produce antibiotics as their defense against competitors. So think about this for a second. A bacteria that causes disease starts to become threatened by an antibiotic, and it secretes bacteria against a bacteria to defend itself and thus becomes resistant. In addition to that, look at this one. Antibiotics promote obesity. Obesity. In a study done by the military in 20-year-old males, they gave them antibiotics for a single dose, meaning they gave it to them for about 14 days. During that 14 days, their digestive tract changed, their immune system changed, and their body responded by clinging on to all the water and all the fluids it could and storing fat. What happens is they average 6 pounds of permanent fat gain for every prescription of antibiotics. Now, let's look at children. Children who are given broad-spectrum antibiotics in a hope to just kill everything when we don't know what's wrong are more likely to develop asthma. Now, if a child under 3 has an immune system that isn't currently active or isn't fully mature, we call it, and they take antibiotics, they have a lot greater chance of developing the autoimmune disorder, asthma. As you can see, antibiotics create problems. The worst thing you can do with antibiotics is to take only a few of the antibiotics because it kills only the weakest of the germs and allows the rest to become stronger and resistant sometimes to all other antibiotics, turning them into a life-threatening superbug, meaning the germ that's in you becomes resistant to antibiotics. Now we call it a supergerm or superbug. Look at this one. Adverse drug effects from antibiotics cause 1 in 5 emergency room visits. Now think about that for a second. Of all the people that go into the emergency room, 1 in 5 go because of an adverse drug effect from antibiotics. This is published in the Journal of American Medical Association and states 7 of the top 10 drugs causing adverse drug events are actually antibiotics. So let's take a look at the United States for a minute. Over 2 million people get infected and take an antibiotic every year. 2 million. Over 23,000 of them actually will die. And they'll die from anaphylaxis or a drug allergy or developing a supergerm. What that means is 2 million people take prescription drugs that are antibiotics. 23,000 of them will die from the drug. This is a powerful statement because nobody dies from taking silver. It's an interesting concept, so we're trying to put these together and weave them into a beneficial place where we know how to help you in the times of infection. Here's the problem. The most resistant and dangerous pathogens out there right now are these. C. difficile or Clostridium difficile, Enterobacter. You can see the list up here. Pseudomonas, Shigella, MRSA. All of these are dangerous because they're resistant to antibiotics. But silver destroys all of them in the laboratory and in your body. Experts predict that in the next 20 years, antibiotic resistance will be responsible for killing more people than cancer does today. That means so many people will have been exposed to so much antibiotic prescription use that the germs will become so resistant that a single scratch could actually cause an infection that could kill you. We will then be in a world where we're trying to live in a bubble away from all these super germs that are out there, caused simply by the fact that we actually overused or misused antibiotics. Let's take a look at this. As a bacteria, this is the problem of why we have resistance. When I talk about bacteria, imagine this image that I have here. What you've got is a big oval or round bacteria. Antibiotics work on the surface of that bacteria, and if the antibiotic can come in and get into the bacteria, it can kill it. If it can dissolve the bacterial membrane, it can kill the bacteria. If it can get inside the bacterium and it can stop the replication or duplication of the bacteria, it can stop the growth of bacteria. But here's the problem. Here's the different antibiotics and where they work. On the cell wall itself, you've got beta-lactam, penicillins, cephalosporins. These are the category of antibiotics, and they work on the outer shell of the bacteria. Now, the problem is, if this were an example of a bacteria, and I have all these little teeny pores in here that you can see, the pores allow the antibiotic in or out, nutrients in or out, poisons in or out. Now, along comes an antibiotic, and it can get in through those little pores. The bacteria defends itself by secreting a small mucus-like layer that plugs all those pores. The antibiotic can't get in anymore. And it coats it so none of these receptor sites can actually receive a receptor site to turn off its growth as well. In other words, the bacteria defends itself against an antibiotic, and it does so on the outer shell. That means the antibiotics aren't going to work anymore. Silver comes along, dissolves that mucus layer, opens up those pores, reveals the receptor sites, and takes an electron from the membrane of the bacteria, rupturing it. But at the same time, the antibiotic can now get into the bacteria because the pores are open, because the pumps are clear, and the receptors are now visible again. The bacteria can be destroyed 1,000 times more effectively because silver is present. Yeah, let's say that again. Harvard research has published that, in fact, silver makes the antibiotic 1,000 times stronger and reverses antibiotic resistance. This is incredible information because there's many other ways that antibiotics work. For instance, DNA synthesis, or the ability to duplicate, divide, and replicate, can be halted by certain types of antibiotics. In addition, the ribosomes inside the bacteria that are in charge of manufacturing energy, or what we call protein synthesis, can be halted by antibiotics. But if they can't get in through the membrane, they can't stop the DNA synthesis, they can't stop the protein synthesis, they can't stop these metabolic pathways. But when silver is present, it removes that mucous membrane, it allows penetration of both silver and the antibiotic, and together they give 1,000 times more effective destruction of the bacteria. And at the same time, The silver is stripping away the part of the bacteria that is resistant. So we're reversing antibiotic resistance, lessening the superbugs effect, and making antibiotics 1,000 times stronger because of silver. Now when I say to you, the future of antibiotics includes silver, you might think to yourself, the future of silver includes antibiotics. Yes, that's my goal, is that people will take the silver first to help them, and then if there's a problem that is strong enough, big enough, that they need antibiotics, together silver with the antibiotic are now 1,000 times stronger. When I put this on the screen, you can see that silver is active across all categories of pathogens, while different types of drugs like tetracycline is only active against a few categories of pathogens. What this means is drugs only destroy a narrow range of pathogens, while silver is active against all of them and reverses resistance at the same time. Antibiotics are living cells with defense mechanisms, and so are bacterium. This means that bacterium will defend itself and adapt to the antibiotic threat in order to survive. This is called resistance. We've shown that. And antibiotic resistance is one of the world's most pressing health problems. Every time a person takes an antibiotic, sensitive bacteria are killed, but resistant ones grow stronger and stronger. Bacteria will find ways to avoid the effects of antibiotic drugs because they're both bacteria. They're both in competition. Silver equalizes the fight. These resistant mechanisms are very important. And here is an example of some of these resistant mechanisms and how they work. When you recognize that silver can destroy a pathogen, it can do it because of a resonant frequency. Let me demonstrate how that works. This illustrates a bacteria. These little pores allow nutrients in and poisons out. These little receptor sites have a specific lock and key receptor that turns on or off the duplication of the bacteria. An antibiotic like this comes floating in and can attach to that receptor site, turning it off, causing its death. The antibiotic can also get inside these little pores, and once it gets inside the pores, can stop the growth of the bacteria. The antibiotic can also rupture the membrane of the inner lining of the bacteria, causing numerous different ways to destroy the bacteria. Now I want to illustrate what happens with silver. Silver can penetrate, just like I'm doing here, right through the cell membrane, effectively popping it. And because silver resonates at a frequency, by vibrating against this bacteria, can rupture the cell membrane, killing it that way as well. But the silver can strip off this self-defense coating or the resistance, thus allowing the antibiotic to do its work better. Let me show you how that works in a small illustration. Inside the bacteria will defend itself. And when it defends itself, it will put a coating around itself. And to secrete that coating around itself, I'm putting a foam or a gel on the inside of this bacteria. That's where it would come from. Now, when the bacteria gets exposed to an antibiotic, it's going to plug all of those pores. It's going to close them off completely. And it's going to do so by secreting little gel or mucus layer that plugs the pores and coats the outer layer of this entire bacteria. Once it does that, now the antibiotic can't hook up to these receptor sites either. Well, that is resistance. This bacteria no longer has to suffer the attack of an antibiotic because it can't get in. But silver comes along and effectively works just like I'm doing here. It washes off or steals one electron at a time from that membrane, and now the membrane is clean and exposed and the pores are open, so the bacteria can be destroyed by the antibiotic or by the silver. So as you can see, working together, 1,000-fold increase in killing can occur when the silver is used to basically pre-treat the membrane of the bacteria. So, in summary, bacteria are becoming superbugs because the bacteria are defending themselves against our very best drugs. They do this in the following mechanisms. Number one, they block antibiotics from entering the bacteria. But silver chases that down, changes that situation, and strips away that milky residue that prevents the antibiotic from getting in, thus reversing this situation. Number two, pump the antibiotic out is what the bacteria will do, but silver enters the pump and changes its metabolism so it won't pump it out anymore, allowing the antibiotic to stay within the bacteria longer. Then number three, transferring resistant DNA can occur from bacteria to bacteria, but silver steals an electron from this DNA, from this actual genetic material, preserving it and keeping it unable to transfer genetic material. Then we have secreting enzymes to change the antibiotic. Well, ultimately, the bacteria will mutate and start secreting enzymes, but silver remedies that situation as well. Or we have bypass the effects of the antibiotic altogether. The bacteria can duplicate, and bypass the effects of the antibiotic, but silver, in its presence, will steal an electron from its membrane and fire an electron into the bacteria, effectively rupturing the membrane, causing the bacteria to die. And the last one is that you can change the shape of the receptors on the surface or cover them if you have an antibiotic present enough. In other words, the bacteria is defending itself, but silver, stealing one electron at a time, strips that coating off, revealing the receptors. Now the antibiotic can bond and destroy the bacteria. Together, silver and antibiotics work 1,000 times stronger. This is the summary. Let's review just a few facts. There has only been one antibiotic approved by the FDA in the past 26 years. It's called Platensis, and it costs $1,600 to prescribe. It's not being used very much because insurance companies don't want to spend that much money on a prescription for an antibiotic. The FDA and Centers for Disease Control have sent written notices to all physicians to stop prescribing anti-antibiotics for ear infections because they don't destroy the pathogen. They only serve to kill part of it and make it worse. So we end up with antibiotic-resistant infections that can cause deafness. Instead, the FDA has suggested that physicians only use painkillers. So tell that to a mother of a 3-year-old baby. When that baby is screaming the night away with a bulging eardrum that's infected from the inside, oh, I'm sorry, we can't give you any antibiotics. It'll only make the germ stronger. Instead, here's a painkiller. How about liquid silver filling that ear canal, stripping away the obstacles to an antibiotic, and using them together? This is why the future of antibiotics includes silver. So, when I think about this, and I think about these germs that are getting so strong that we don't have antibiotics for them, I think, what are the options? What are your options? What are you going to do in the case that you get sick? Well, let's take a look at this. Silver destroys bacteria and viruses and fungus. There's no drug that can do that. We have an antibiotic, and it kills a few of the bacteria, and we have antiviral drugs that don't kill viruses, but they inhibit their replication. And we have these types of drugs that all work in limited ways. Yet with silver destroying the bacteria, the viruses, the yeast, all of this is going to be something we can use for our prevention. Here's things that actually kill bacteria. Sunlight kills bacteria. Well, it's tough to get sunlight inside your red blood cells, but with silver resonating at the same frequency as sunlight does to kill a bacteria, you effectively have sunlight inside your red blood cells when you're taking silver regularly. Oxygen is the other thing that kills bacteria. Oxygen. Now, when you recognize that liquid silver is bonded to an activated oxygen molecule, you now have the resonant frequency of the sun, 910 terahertz, that's antimicrobial, and it's traveling with oxygen that can destroy bacteria. So when you start looking at silver as a tool, recognize that every atom of silver is bound to an atom of oxygen, and together they work to produce a better effect. Silver carries a resonant frequency of 910 terahertz. This is antimicrobial frequency. You'll find it in laboratories. You'll find it at the hospital. You'll find it wherever they try to destroy or filter bacteria because it works. Well, silver resonates at that same frequency. Silver carries molecular oxygen with the silver where it can destroy bacteria, membranes on contact. So when liquid silver comes in contact with the bacteria or pathogen, it can destroy it on contact. And recognize that silver passes through the body unchanged and pools in the bladder. That's a technique we use for bladder bacteria. In addition, silver activates and causes the mobilization of stem cells. So when you recognize that the immune system has some of its finest and most active portions in the stem cell arena, and recognize that silver, when taken orally, can help mobilize and activate the stem cells, you're getting an immune function benefit along with silver's benefit. So, in a structured form and an alkaline form, silver has access inside the bacteria walls much quicker, easier, more completely. So it destroys the bacteria, viruses, and yeast more completely. It stimulates and activates stem cell activity. It supports the immune function in this process. And the result is it's reversing antibiotic resistance. This makes antibiotics 1,000 times stronger. It can be taken every day because it's alkaline, while the other silvers of the past are strict acids. They're very bold in their acidic nature. Well, they worked when you needed them, but now, when we need silver every day, it makes sense to have an alkaline structured silver. How silver works with the antibiotics. Here's a mechanism of action. It thins the membranes so quickly, one electron at a time, that it ruptures, the contents pour out, and you have destroyed the bacteria. This is important because it then can fire an electron into the bacteria, rupturing it like a bullet ripping through a target. This is important because oxygen can also be released inside the bacteria, and the oxygen can destroy the ribosome, which is the synthesis of protein in the bacteria, stopping its function. In addition, hydrogen peroxide has been documented to destroy abnormal cell growth. This is significant because silver leads to all of these conditions or opens up the ability for the immune system to perform these conditions. Now let's take a look at this. Here's before bacteria, and here is after silver, shows an opening because silver stole one electron at a time on the membrane of the bacteria until it ruptured the bacteria. Its contents have poured out and the bacteria dies. Alkaline silver is important simply because you can take it every day, while very acidic silver, you don't want to put all that acidity in your body all the time. So alkaline silver has a superior structure. The structure is a tetrahedral, and it kills like a machine gun because when it fires, it causes the silver to be missing an electron, and then it will steal an electron from the bacteria, thus stealing an electron, rupturing the pathogen, firing an electron, killing it in a different mechanism, and continuously doing this, it can destroy massive amounts of multiplying bacteria. Stripping the surface defenses away from that bacteria at the same time even allows antibiotics to work 1,000 times stronger. So using structured water allows activated oxygen to be carried into the pathogen. When you're using alkaline water and you're drinking with that water silver, if you have that type of pH, the immune system readily accepts it, opens up, and the pores let it in. While acidic natured water or acidic silver runs into an immune system that's defending itself and doesn't let it in as easily. This is a chemical structure of Ag4O4, silver 4, oxygen 4, and hydrogen. So what you see is 4 water molecules. Each one of the water molecules has a permanently bound silver molecule to it. This resonates at a frequency that destroys bacteria, viruses, and yeast. Yes, resonates at a frequency that destroys their membranes. Here's what oxygenated silver inside the cell looks like. Take a look at this. You can actually see the reactivity of the oxygen as it's moving towards the membrane. This is important because it can destroy the ribosomes in bacteria, destroying that activity. It can destroy the membrane, destroying the whole purpose of that pathogen. And it's very impressive to see silver and its reactive oxygen activity. The plague is here. If any of you are wondering, I just wanted to announce the plague is here. And this is scientific proof right here. This is a bacteria that is resistant to every antibiotic, and it was found in a laboratory in Canada. What that means is, if this continues to spread and antibiotics continue to be defended against, we're not going to have any antibiotic tools against this kind of pathogen. That's why I'm saying the future of antibiotics include silver, because silver can destroy all these types of bacteria. Silver destroys them and the viruses. Here's how we do it. We drink the liquid silver. 2 teaspoons twice a day is what the average person wants to take. If you're feeling sick, if you're exposed to sick people, or if you're under stress, we double that amount. 2 tablespoons twice a day. And you're drinking this. It's going into your red blood cells. It's circulating through your body. And it can be used in every orifice of the body. Eyes, ears, nose, throat, mouth, vagina, rectum, anywhere that you can keep the liquid silver in contact with the germ for 2 minutes, it will destroy it. Now, this is very important because it's not like other silvers. Alkaline silvers destroy in 2 minutes. Acidic silvers destroy in 6. So I'd like to present 50 ways how to use silver. Simply put, this is my portion of common sense medicine. You want to drink it 2 teaspoons twice a day. Add liquid silver to water to purify the water. Yeah, 4 drops of liquid silver per 8-ounce cup will effectively destroy all the pathogens in that water if you let it stand for 1.4 minutes. I choose to gargle the liquid silver for the germs in my mouth. I put it in a nebulizer and inhale it if I worry about bronchitis or pneumonia or sinus infections. I spray it up my nostrils. I pump it and rinse it into my sinuses. I brush my teeth with the gel. I hold it under my tongue for 2 minutes where it starts to absorb and tells the immune system that it's got some help coming. I mix it with shampoo and use it on my scalp. I apply it to my skin. Gel keeps it in place longer so the effect lasts longer. I can put a liquid drop or a gel drop on a Band-Aid. I've even made ice cubes for children so that they can take it without even knowing they're getting it. And by the way, liquid silver can be frozen and boiled and never destroys its activity. It passes through the body unchanged and pools in the bladder. You can spray it on bed sores. You can put gels on bed sores. You can spray it on odors, foot, sink, garbage can, because the silver spray destroys the cause of the odor. It does so in about 30 seconds. You can spray it on your phone for hygiene because of the germs that came from your mouth or somebody else's mouth. You can spray it on a computer, a public restroom, a door handle, a refrigerator handle. It kills mold on surfaces just by spraying. Silver uses, you can apply it to sunburns and wounds because our burn centers use silver and it's destroying the pathogens that slow the healing, and it stimulates the stem cells so you get quicker healing with less scarring. You can soak your feet in silver for athlete's foot. You can soak your fingernails in a little bowl when getting your fingers done to help destroy whatever bacteria or germ might get under your fingernail. You can put it on a gauze bandage and apply it to acne. You can spray it in the fridge to kill the bacteria that causes the smell in the fridge. You can use it as a refresher, a cosmetic refresher for your face. You can spray it on a feminine pad and it will destroy the bacteria that causes the itching. It will destroy the yeast that causes problems in that area. You can soak a tampon and insert it, or apply gel to the tampon, insert it at night, take it out in the morning. In doing so, you're going to have silver doing its job against bacteria, viruses, and yeast in an area that we don't have drugs to work very well. You can also combine it with antioxidants because silver is so good at destroying the yeast that antioxidants can come in and clean up the destroyed yeast and get it out of the body, reducing inflammation quicker. Pets need silver too. You can spray it on their coats, put it on their feet, put some gel on your hand, hold it out, greet the pet in a way that the pet licks the gel off your hand. You've now treated effectively your pet. If they're scratching their ears, they usually have yeast or mold in their ear. A few drops of silver works in the pet's ears. You can wash their eyes, or your eyes for that matter. You can use it as an ear wash, liquid ear wash. You can put some silver into your bath water, use it as an anti-aging tool. You can use it as an antiviral tool, an antibacterial tool, anti-yeast tool, anti-parasite tool, as in the case of malaria. You can spray it on a diaper or on diaper rash. You can put a gel on a baby's bottom and watch the bacteria that causes the rash literally be reduced in minutes. You can use it on plants. Yeah, if you clip flowers, put them in water, add a teaspoon of liquid silver, they'll live longer. You can spray it in your armpits as a deodorant. How to use silver? Very simple. You can drink it, you can put it on topically as a gel, or you can inhale it through some type of humidifier. These are 3 terrific tools. What that means is if you drink 2 teaspoons twice a day, you're taking what you would need for your regular day. If you double that amount, 2 tablespoons about, twice a day, that means you know you're under threat or risk or disease state or shaking hands with a lot of dirty hands out there. Topically, the gel, when put on your hands, has been shown to destroy bacteria, viruses, and yeast for 5 hours. This is a 5-hour hand protection. You can inhale it, and when you do, the silver particles are so tiny, they will enter deep down into your lungs. They will pass through your nose to get there, leaving little particles of silver all along the way. What a great tool for a grandmother who's in a rest home who suffers from pneumonia regularly. What a great tool for you to keep you from getting the croup when everybody else has it. How terrific for an infant that's 1 month old that needs a little bit of silver mist in their room so that they don't have to suffer all of those green congestive boogers just because they've been handled by so many different people. It's very simple. If you're going to inhale this mist, you buy a cool ultrasonic humidifier. This mist comes out cool, and you fill the reservoir 1/10 full of silver, liquid silver. The rest you fill with water. Now at night you're going to be inhaling a little bit of silver, and it's going to be able to do the job silver was designed to do, from sinuses to lungs. How silver works with antibiotics. Well, what I'd like to refer you to is articles written by myself, by Harvard, by Boston College, and these have all been published. Silver taken with antibiotics increases their strength as much as 1,000-fold. Silver attacks bacterial cells in 2 main ways. It makes the cell membrane more permeable, like you saw in the picture, and it interferes with the cell's metabolism so it won't duplicate, or in other words, stop the growth of the bacteria and rupture the cell membrane. Silver makes the bacteria membrane more permeable, and that allows antibiotics like vancomycin to enter even the most difficult gram-negative bacteria. Now, gram-negative bacteria are some of the most difficult because they have an extended protective coating around it. But silver can help penetrate that, allowing the vancomycin to enter. When vancomycin can get in, it has a very strong effect on those very difficult bacteria. In the medical journals that have been published about silver, I'd like to give you some credibility from them. Scientific America has published. In addition to them, we have Science and Translational Medicine. In addition to them, we have Nature. All 3 publishing the following: silver makes antibiotics thousands of times stronger and more effective. Silver reverses antibiotic resistance by making the bacteria cell wall more permeable, thus allowing more antibiotic to enter the pathogen. What I've said here, I said earlier, but the reason I've said it more than once is because this is not a one-time publication. This is mainstream medicine. This is time for you to know that silver is the very tool that's making our pharmaceutical tools more effective. So, the future of antibiotics includes silver. What this means to doctors is the following. Doctors can recommend silver daily because it's alkaline. They can prescribe antibiotics with silver knowing there's a benefit. They can add silver to people who are currently taking antibiotics. What doctors can expect: to boost antibiotic killing by 1,000-fold, to reduce resistance, allowing safe future antibiotic use. You can reduce infection topically and internally. Doctors can expect better outcomes on bacteria, viruses, and yeast. So what does it mean to patients? Well, here's what this means for patients. Daily silver use of alkaline structured silver can prevent viral, bacterial, and fungal infections. Combined therapy will destroy pathogens better, and antibiotics with silver won't cause antibiotic resistance nearly to the same level that we've seen in the past. So here's how to use silver. Orally, simple, we're going to drink it. Topically, we're going to put gel on our hands or any part of our body. Mist, we're going to have it in a humidifier. We're going to breathe it at night as we sleep. By the way, it can be used after colonics as a rinse. It can be used intravaginally to destroy yeast. It can be used in creative ways. eyes, ears, nose, and throat, so that when the liquid silver comes in contact with the germ for 2 minutes, you're going to have a significant effect. Here's a picture of a spraying device. This nebulizer pumps liquid silver into the sinuses and down the back of the throat. This is a pump. It's a Neil's Med bottle, and we fill it half full of silver. Don't dilute it, and pump it up one nostril, out the other one, and you've cleared an obstruction. Inhaling silver through this nebulizer or through this humidifier is a very simple but effective way to help. For those of you who have a CPAP machine, put liquid silver directly into the CPAP reservoir. Don't dilute it. It will be pumping through at night in a diluted fashion. Eyes, just put the drops in the eyes and wash the eye. In the picture on the lower side here, I've got a picture of what pink eye is. It's bacteria from our environment that has gotten into the eye and started to consume the white of the eye called the sclera. Pink eye is pink because all these veins and arteries have bulged with inflammation trying to get rid of the bacteria. Liquid silver, washing this area, will destroy the cause of the pink eye, and it will happen in about 2 hours. This is how I do it. I take an oval cup approved from OSHA, eye wash, fill it half full, seal it around my eye, tip my head back, and I now have my own little area or microenvironment to rinse my eye in. I do it for about 15 seconds. Twice a day is all it takes. Ears, fill the ear canal. Fill it all the way full, but tip the head towards the roof so it will stay in there. And you're going to want it to be in touch with the germ for 2 minutes, but it's going to take another 2 or 3 minutes to get down behind the ear, so we're going to leave this condition for 5 minutes. Fill that ear canal. In the picture I'm showing up here is a picture of the eardrum being consumed by bacteria. Liquid silver coming in contact with that bacteria can destroy it readily. Pets, easy. Get a squirt bottle or an eyedropper and put the liquid silver in the ear. A pumping spray bottle makes your pets think that you're punishing them. And I'm always asked, should you let your pet lick you? And I give you this picture. I refer you to this picture. Dogs will put their noses anywhere. They will lick anything, in the gutter, each other, and then they want to greet you with their tongue. Well, what we found in medicine is if you're getting 3 ear infections or 3 sore throats a year, quite often it comes from your pet, because dogs have 60% more bacteria in their mouth than humans, and they readily share it with us. Silver can also be applied to a tampon. When a daub of silver gel is applied to the tip of a tampon and inserted into the vagina, left through the night, it can destroy yeast, it can destroy bacteria, it can destroy viruses. This is a very simple thing, and I recommend that women do it every night for 5 nights in a row. Brush your teeth with silver gel. You're going to kill the germs that have gotten down inside your gums. On dry, damaged, windburn, or sunburned skin, or burns of any type, silver can be sprayed, silver can be used as a gel, and because it helps reduce infection and stimulate stem cells, quicker healing with half the scarring. It destroys the cause of foot odor, which is often bacteria or yeast. Spray it on, rub on a gel, but get it on there because it can kill the cause of foot odor. The cause of foot odor needs to be destroyed, and that means spraying a gym bag every day is a very good thing and maybe one of the greatest blessings I've seen from using liquid and gel silver. MRSA stands for methicillin-resistant Staph aureus. This is a picture of somebody who has MRSA, flesh-eating bacteria, consuming their face, 6 hours old. Applied immediately was silver gel. Silver gel was applied for every 4 hours, and 30 hours later, after silver had been taken orally and applied topically, That silver has stopped the MRSA from spreading, stopped it from blistering, and stopped the blisters from rupturing. This is now under control. XDR-TB stands for extremely drug-resistant tuberculosis. I was given a letter, and the letter was sent to me from the Centers for Disease Control, and it asked if I would write a protocol for an extremely drug-resistant form of tuberculosis that our drugs wasn't getting under control, that there were over 400 cases of. I was asked to send my results back to the Vice President of the United States, copied to the Centers for Disease Control, because they're all working for the United States government. Here's my letter to the CDC for the treatment of tuberculosis. Quote, earlier today, I, Dr. Gordon Pedersen, received a request from the Office of the Vice President to send a protocol for XDR-TB to your office. The active ingredient is a silver liquid, which has been shown to kill tuberculosis in vitro. The reference means I've attached the materials. This protocol utilizes a silver liquid in an inhaled mist to access the mucus layer of the lungs while concomitantly utilizing an oral dose which will be absorbed into the bloodstream and distributed to the lungs. The in vitro testing, which is attached, demonstrates a kill rate of 97.3% in 45 minutes. This is the type of silver medicine that's taking place. These are the type of people who are receiving this information. I'm here hoping that you will understand alkaline structured silver has a role in your future, possibly even more than the antibiotics that are in your future. The future of antibiotics includes silver, summarized like this. Silver destroys bacteria, viruses, and yeasts, and some parasites like malaria. 2 teaspoons twice a day. Double the dose during stress. Use silver gel or liquid or lozenges, because if silver stays in contact with the germ for 2 minutes, it's going to kill the germ. Other silvers are acids. Look for an alkaline pH balanced silver that works with the immune system, and realize silver works even when antibiotics don't, and makes antibiotics work when they have previously failed. So as I say in my book, The Silver Solution, A New Fighting Chance, the future of silver includes antibiotics, and the future of antibiotics includes silver.